My name is Samir Yammine, very excited to be here. Obviously lots of excitement. This is the first time we've been able to come and bring a group of people together for an event for Climate Action St. John. Climate Action St. John is a citizen-led organization within the city that is looking to accelerate the adaptation, mitigation, and adoption of climate policies in St. John. And of course, we like to look at things in an intersectional way. So it takes a lot of cross-collaborations with other grassroots organizations that are within the city. And this is just the first of many educational events that we look forward to putting on. So my name, again, Ashley. I work at an organization called Climate Reality Project. And essentially, I spend my entire time educating people about climate action, specifically municipal climate action, collaborative leadership, and how we can all come together and create solutions that work for our communities, right? Instead of prescriptive solutions. So Amanda here works with me as well. And we have a number of people that work within our group, Climate Action St. John. We have a website as well if you'd like to learn more about us and keep up to date on our events. So again, welcome. Of course, we have Samir Yammine. Samir is a very prominent figure within the city, and he is the guy that makes the plan. And so we're very enthusiastic to welcome you, and we're very humbled by your presence. So thank you for coming and sharing that education with us. Samir is going to present the plans for the city, where the city wants to go with their climate ambitions. Now, the city did pledge the race to zero during COP26, so it is an important part of the city's plans to ensure that they are working towards decarbonization, especially with such an industrial background, and environmental health is all important to all of us. We are recording this as well, and we plan to send this out, so if you would like to share this with your friends, families, neighbors, colleagues, please do. We would be very enthusiastic about that as well. So without further ado, I would like to present to you Samir.
Mary, you want to say something before? I don't want to.
No, I just wanted to say that I'm running out to something else at 8, Samir, because to let you know that we're just here for an hour and a half or so.
Okay.
I'm happy. I can say something if you like.
If you'd like to, please. Put you on the spot, right?
I put you on the spot.
So you got voted into the big.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to say welcome to everyone. I'm Donna Reardon. I'm the mayor of the city of St. John, and I have John McKenzie here, my deputy mayor. And Samir is amazing at the city of St. John. He was at the city last night with the district energy system. He's always searching for ways for us to reduce our carbon footprint. He's always accessing the federal and provincial governments for monies to get that done. So a lot of times, like I think one of the projects, the district energy one, it's a $2.4 million project. He's managed to get us 1.7 of that, through funding. So he's an important person in the city as we go forward, because without his leadership, I don't know where we would be. And as you mentioned, with being an industrial city, it is important for us to look at that. So we have the 2 plans on the go. We have the City of St. John's, we have the ours, we have the corporate, and we have the community GHG change reduction plans on the go at the time. So we're trying to green the city as well, and there's a lot of green initiatives going on. We've got the electric buses right now. We've partnered, St. John Energy has partnered to have the wind terminals on the go. So there's a lot happening, and it's I guess for me, it's also the recapture of recapturing energy and reusing the energy. So we use energy every day, and it's all of those things of recapturing it that I find so interesting in this field. So I'm thrilled to be here today. And thanks, Samir, and thank you to you for putting this on this evening. Thanks so much.
And also we want to acknowledge Michelle, councillor from Fredericton.
Margot?
Margot, I'm sorry, Margot.
Yeah, very, very thankful for you being here, Margot. And just let me know when you want to switch the slides. And I'll... Yeah.
So we have, we don't have a, we don't have a, okay, no, is there something?
Yeah, no.
Okay, then we can switch here. So basically, what we're gonna provide you here is an overview. Can you hear me, everyone? Yeah. overview description of the City of St. John Climate Change Action Plan. We're gonna mention some, we're gonna talk about the adaptation, and then we're gonna jump into the mitigation strategy, which is consist, as the mayor indicated, our corporate and community, and lastly, we talk about what's the next step for us for the City of St. John. So for us, when we talk about adaptation, when we talk about mitigation strategy, when we talk about asset management system, the three things here were, there are three things: there's climate change adaptation, the climate change mitigation, and our asset management, which is our infrastructure. They all need to work together. They need to be integrated together. You cannot separate one from the other. They're both interconnected together. And the reason we need to integrate together, because the main idea, our main objective when we develop policy, when we develop strategy, when we develop practices, all these beautiful things, our main idea at the City of St. John, we want to ensure that our infrastructure, whether it's water infrastructure, whether it's building, whether our road, whether our everything, we want to ensure that our infrastructure is resilient to any extreme events such as flooding at the City of St. John, or as flooding or sea level rise. The second thing, we need to ensure that, as always, as any municipality here, we want to manage our infrastructure efficiently, effectively, in order to provide the optimal level at the lowest life cycle cost we can provide it. And we want to do this one in a sustainable manner, environmentally, economically, and socially manner. So we have the obligation at the City of St. John to provide this optimal level of service at the lowest life cycle cost we can provide. Thirdly, what we're going to do, we're going to try to maximize our capital investment in order for us to move forward to make sure to transition into low carbon economy, whether on the corporate level as well as the community level. And lastly, we cannot do anything without securing funding. So what we develop all this strategy, we want to make sure we can secure external funding from all the level of government, whether on the federal level, provincial, and on other agency government here. So all this here, this is the objective of our climate change. Objective is this 4 items that what we will try to meet here. And all the three here, they need to be working interconnected together. We cannot separate them from it. Next one, please. So I'm not gonna talk too much on the adaptation strategy. The main objective of our adaptation goal is we want to ensure that our community, as I indicated before, and our infrastructure are resilient to any such event, weather event. Secondly, we want to make sure that anything we do at the City of St. John, whether we are upgrading a new infrastructure or we put in new infrastructure, we want to make sure that climate change adaptation, we take consideration to our climate change adaptation. Any design, any renew, anything we do. And as a result of this, we have developed 8 objectives in our climate change adaptation. I'm not going to go through it all. Is we want to make sure we integrate climate change into our community planning. We want to make sure, as I indicated before, it's already as part of our design. We're going to increase our resilience to extreme weather events, reduce the impact of climate change on human resource, on human health, and all this here. This is our objective on climate change adaptation plan. Next one, please. So the plan was adopted in council in 2020, which is work was done with ACAP. Anybody from ACAP here? Yeah, that's good. We worked with ACAP very long, and you guys did an excellent job. So we did a comprehensive climate change adaptation on the whole community of City of St. John there. We have developed a climate change vulnerability assessment methodology to help us identify what area of risk as a result of weather event, whether it could be flooding, whether it is sea level rise, or any other weather event which has impact on our community. We have updated our asset management policy to ensure that, as indicated before, that ensures that climate change, climate impact, whether on the mitigation side or adaptation side, will be considered as part of any existing to our new infrastructure or upgrade to our new infrastructure. We will be able to secure over $52 million as part of this project because of our climate change adaptation to upgrade our existing infrastructure. And we're going to talk a little bit on what are this infrastructure we did. And we received also one of the projects, we did work on it and it's already completed. We have received $11 million from the disaster mitigation adaptation plan to refurbish. I don't know if you're familiar with the City of St. John on the waterfront. We had to raise the wall by 1.5 meters to make sure we address sea level rise. and we have infrastructure. So this project has already been completed there. And second one, we have 10 lift stations along the Saint John River there. Work is already ongoing, almost there. So we have to lift some of this lift station, and we have to reconstruct some of the lift station to make sure we address any flooding in the future here. And finally, I think this is almost completed. We work with Saint John Energy. We relocate the Union Street electric substation. We have been relocated and moved it all up forward. I think where's the location? It is on
Paradise Road.
Paradise Road. Thank you, Councillor here. So this project almost completed here. So the reason helped us to secure this $11 million because when we did the climate adaptation, we identified it at a high risk for us to do it. Next, please. So the second project, we already received funding, and this is current and future initiative. We have received some funding from also $11 million to raise the Courtney Bay Causeway, which is a main link from us from the west to the uptown area. I believe yesterday council you guys have approved the engineering design. This is a big project. It's around $17 to $20 million project. This is a big project. It has a lot of impact on sea level rise on this one here. And then we have some funding also available to do some work on the city wastewater flood protection project, which is the Milledgeville wastewater treatment plant. Also, we have a UV system we need to upgrade it there, and then we have the Lancaster Lagoon there. So this project is ongoing on this year. What we planning to do here in the next 2 years, 3 years, we're looking at updating our plan SJ or municipal plan, where we want to make sure that all the recommendations indicated in the adaptation plan will be incorporated into our municipal plan in the future years. So this is our good design here. And in the future, we're looking at establishing some kind of committee to oversee the implementation of climate change here. I'm not going to pursue this, we're going to be here forever. We're looking at planting 1,000 trees here, and we're going to continue working with ACAP on some of the initiatives on the climate change adaptation plan. Next one, please. So now we're jumping into the mitigation. So now reducing greenhouse gases. So we're going to talk about the corporate, then we're going to jump into the community. In the corporate, the corporate greenhouse energy action plan, the council has already approved this. The council has set a target to be 30% by 2025, below the 2015 level, and then we're looking to be a carbon neutral by 2040, and we're going to give you a progress where we are with our target on the greenhouse gases. Next one, please. Okay. So in order for us, as council has asked us to see how we're going to meet the target for 2030, and then we have to meet the 2040. So we did launch what we call it a municipal deep energy retrofit program. So the city of Saint John is wide. We have over 100 between our lift station and municipal building. We have close to 160 to 170 buildings there. We have a big infrastructure. Don't estimate infrastructure. So we have launched a big program here to introduce deep energy efficiency program on our buildings. So we received some funding from the Low Carbon Economy Fund, FCM, and B Powers around $4.7 million in order for us to implement this program, and also we also include in the street light. So the program will be completed by March 2024, and the reason I mentioned the March 2024 is because this is where the money ran out by March 2024. Otherwise, we cannot incur any cost after March 2024. So there's always been condition for us receiving money from federal government, even from the provincial government. Next one, please. So what we did, I'm not going to go into detail what are the energy efficiency measures we did. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. So we completed so far over 50 projects here. We received over, I was saving around 9,400,000 F 2022. I don't have the result yet for 2023 because we're still working on some of the project. We have secured over $7 million. We will be able to reduce our greenhouse gases by 3,900 tons of CO2 by 2020. This is a real number here. This is real data we're talking about here. And the good thing about it here, because we work with Saint John Energy, and Saint John Energy will be able to provide us what we call it a REC, which is a renewable energy credit, because of the wind power providers. So where they are giving us to give us 30,000 megawatt an hour of electricity as a renewable energy sources to help us meet our target. Just to give you the example, this is our greenhouse gases baseline 2016, 23,766. This is only for the corporate, which include which include the transport and everything, and we are at CASO 2022, which is we already at 56% reduction for our building. So we are already on a target for us. And this will give you the breakdown where the saving will come in. We have the 3,900 coming from NORAC, just energy efficiency measure. Then we have the 9,360 coming from the St. John Energy here, so which is total saving of greenhouse gases over 13,272. So we are beyond our target on this year. So this is a good result here for us here. So anyway, next one please. So on one area we work as a mayor, as indicated here, is our transportation, which is our fleet and transit buses here. So we know as when we did our greenhouse gas inventory, we had determined, or we have found out that one of the biggest greenhouse gas emission is our transportation, which is the vehicle, which represents 31.15% of our total greenhouse gases here, which compose of diesel and gasoline on this here. So the council did an excellent job here, and you don't know how this will help. We have adopted a idling policy. And as part of the idling policy, we have installed telematic systems, so we understand the fuel consumption, the fuel efficiency. We know we know if there is an idling, or is there how the driver is managing fuel consumption. By doing, and furthermore, we downsize our fleet completely, and all these three things I indicated measure here really has helped us reduce our gas and gasoline by 35%, which resulted over $500,000 saving by doing all these three. You don't underestimate the idling. Idling is one of the biggest waste of energy is there here. And this has helped us reduce very much. This one, we weren't trying to tell people how to drive or say, but but when we still see the data and we know where the data is going, where's the idle, how much idle is going, whatever, so we will be able to track it very much and we'll start to make a decision. And this really has helped us to reduce greenhouse gas emission here. One area on the transportation here is we need to develop what I call it a roadmap to help us. How can we transform our fleet and transit into low carbon? How can we meet the 2040 greenhouse gas target on our transportation, which is include the fleet and the transit? So we did develop a program. Next one, please. And we did work with a consultant here to develop what you call it a low carbon fleet strategy, to give us what is the roadmap for us, what are the roadmap, what is the pathway for us to move forward to meet our target by 2040. So we look at the four scenarios. So we have the business as usual scenario, if we continue to do it as business. The second scenario, we look at the battery electric vehicle, as you know, fully charged electric vehicle. And the third one is we are using hydrogen fuel cell scenario. And the last scenario is scenario 4 is not using natural gas here. So we look at the fourth scenario on this here to determine what is the best way for us to move forward to a low carbon economy by taking into consideration environmental, socially, and economic one here. So next one, please. Not gonna go into detail here. This is a lot of detailed information done here. Took us a year to do all this work here. So when we look at each of this scenario, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we take into consideration what is the infrastructure required for us. For example, if we need to electrify all our fleet and transit, so we need to upgrade our electrical service interests. You know, we have to go from 500 kilowatt, maybe to 2 megawatt. So this is cost money to upgrade it. How many chargers we needed, where we need to put the chargers, so on. And so all the capital, all the operating costs, everything, training, everything done, the fuel costs, everything here was taken into consideration when we did this analysis. When we did the calculation on this, at the time when we did it, we were using cost per liter for the gasoline. It is my understanding was 1.39, and same thing when we did it for the diesel, 1.39 when we did our calculation here. And we know how much the gasoline now, and we know how much the diesel is right now. So if you look, We did the net value cost here for us. So we look at the total for the business as usual compared to the scenario for the electric and the hydrogens and the natural gas. We find out that the best option for us now is electric bus, having all our electric buses now and even our fleet to be using electric vehicle chargers now, using electricity as a source of energy for now. I'm saying now here. So we did proceed with this here on this project here to start doing a pilot project to see on the electric vehicle buses. Can you, next one please? So what we did here, we did a multi-phase approach here. Remember, technology is moving very fast here. Innovation is rapidly moving here. So we cannot say this is our roadmap, I'm not gonna change. So we have to keep changing. For phase one, what we did, we have to start securing some funding and application to do our pilot project on the electric buses here. So we get some funding through FCN, and then also we are looking at the long term of this bus in the next 5 years, how we're gonna do it. So we put another application. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the ZTAP funding. It's a federal funding money to transition your buses into low carbon economies, low carbon ones. So this is another application, we put it here. And so we start piloting some project. One of the project we did pilot here, we're gonna talk about here is electric buses. So we put a lot of time on the electric buses, how we're gonna pilot this project here. So this is the phase one, and phase two, on the phase one, we're gonna be looking at where we are with hydrogen. I know, I was talking to Irving Oil many times, and I know Irving Oil is putting a lot of effort, money on using hydrogen as a source of energy for their vehicles, stuff like that. The challenge with hydrogen is you need a storage. You need to storage underground. So this will cost a lot of money. That's why hydrogen was very expensive for us, because of the infrastructure required to be able to refuel hydrogen. So on. But however, there's technology is moving fast here, innovation is moving fast, but we have to be careful when we talk about hydrogen. We need to understand the color of the hydrogen. You know what I mean? Whether it's green hydrogen. When you talk about the green hydrogen, that means the development of the hydrogen is done by renewable energy sources. Sometimes hydrogen is done by natural gas, which is still, we call it a little bit gray, but it's still better. So we need to understand the color of the hydrogen when we do that here. So we jump into phase two, we're gonna try to expand our facility. Like, for example, in the electric buses at the transit building, we have only available like 800 kilowatt. In order for us to fully do the electric buses on electric charges, we need to double our service interest up to 2 megawatt, which will require to invest more money in order for us if we decided to do this one. But before we jump to phase two, we want to still working on various pilot projects. We're going to test with hydrogen to see what road we want to go, because we don't want to invest millions of dollars and then we find out that electricity is not the energy source we want to go with hydrogen. So we need to be careful how we're going to move forward. It's very important. And other thing when we did on the bus, maybe I'll jump to the next phase here. Is next presentation. Yeah. So we have on-demand charges. I don't know if you've seen. Have you guys seen these buses around in St. John? I don't know if you guys seen. This is on-demand buses run on electricity all down. So what we did, we're doing a pilot project supposed to end by February 2024, and in order for us, we have installed 6 level 2 chargers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 6 level 2 chargers. Something is maximum you can get 19 kilowatt. Will take 2 to 4 hours to charge it. Then we have the level 3, which is the faster charges. It's like a DC charges. We convert AC to DC. You can charge sometimes. We can charge the bus. You can charge it in 45 minutes. So we put 6 level 2 chargers at the St. John transit bus, and we put 2 3 level chargers on that here. So we charge the bus can be charged immediately when they go there here. So we have install a software there, energy management software, because we need to understand in the end. We need to have KPI. We need to understand the performance, how we perform in order for us to make the decision. So we need data. Data is good. We need data. Data is to help us on fuel consumption, how much energy we are using compared to fuel, gas, and so on and so on. So we need to do, that's why we have the energy management software and data monitoring performance to help us, how much we are using on electricity, for air conditioning, for heating, for when you open the door. Anyways, there's a lot of variable here. It's not what you think. we still find a lot of challenges here, and there was a lot of technical problem we're having with these buses here. This is unique to St. John. I think St. John is one of the unique. So we still working a lot through many of this barrier and issue we have like that. Kevin Locker is our manager for fleet. He knows more than I on this. I wish he'd be here, but anyway. So he will tell you all kind of things here. So that early indication, they are showing a good sign for us, really. Like when it's come to, we are reducing very much our fuel consumption. So we're gonna continue moving forward with this project, and hopefully we can share the result next year here. I know one of our manager, Kevin, is getting a lot of calls to see what's going on. Everybody's interested in this project across Canada anyway, so it's a very interesting project actually. So next one, please. So this is our current transportation to show you what we did on this year. So we'll be able to reduce by 30% reduction without doing nothing on the electricity or electric charge buses, but by idling, by downsizing, by measuring and monitoring on our fleet, everything. So we will be able to reduce this year by 36% here. Shows a comparison greenhouse gases and liter gasoline. Next one. So this is our all corporate greenhouse gas emission decarbonization summary. Very simple. This is real number again. So if we include the REC, we are 67%. So we are on the way to be carbon neutral by 2040. We are on the way. The challenge for us is we still have a lot. We have some natural gas, fossil fuel we need. How are we gonna get rid of it? So we're still working on that. Without the REC, we are 28%. So just to give you some idea where we are with our corporate greenhouse gas. And this is, I believe, this is a big achievement for us. So next one. So the corporate, continue where we're gonna working. We're gonna continue work on our district energy system, try to electrify our thermal energy using electricity instead of using natural gas to heat or hot water, stuff like that. So we might be looking at Energy Start labeling on our municipal building. This is another initiative. We'll be looking at it in the future. I'm not going to go. Of course, we're going to look at decarbonize the city corporation thermal energy and fleet system. And the important thing, we want to still working with the staff to increase and promote environmental awareness among the staff. Thank you. So now we jump on the community greenhouse gas energy action plan, which the community greenhouse action plan talk about the first one, which was approved by council in 2019 to reduce our target by 9% by 2025 and 18% by 2035 below 2015 level. As you know, the city of St. John, as a city, we don't have control. We have control on our corporate corporation. We do, because when it's come to the community, this has always been a challenge here. We don't have the control on the community, so we need to work with partnership with many agency, industry, properties owner, and this can go on here. So we will work with them to develop some kind of collaboration. Collaboration is a key part of this work. We need to collaborate as a community in order for us to reach a goal. We may disagree on a pathway, but the goal, we should always look at the goal. This is our goal, but the pathway could be different. So we have to work in a constructive way, in a positive way, in order for us to. So this is very important as a stakeholder, and very important. We need to build awareness among the staff, among the community, on the importance for us to increase awareness and to meet our greenhouse gases. Very important. Next one. I'm not going to go into detail on this year. So 2023. Can we jump into the next one? And this is give you the Burn Hill Power Project process. Just to give you the good project. This project is a 42 megawatt 10 turbine on site, over $80 million. By 2023, which already been in operation now, is we will be able to reduce 46,608 tons of CO2, which is approximately 15% of our total electricity for the city for St. John community, which it's a big one. It's a very big one. And the city of St. John Council has already approved green zoning, which allow large-scale projects such as windmill, solar energy to be implemented and constructed on St. John land here. So this is a big one, green zoning here, which the council has approved it, I think 2020 or 2021, I'm not sure on that here. Next one. So just to tell you, we took credit for this. We're gonna take the credit for it. We were able to reduce our community by 7%. So we took the credit on this. So next one is the pathway. I'm not gonna go into detail into the pathway to net zero. This is the Community Energy Action Plan, which the council has asked us to develop a roadmap. How can we meet the 2050 net zero by 2050? Just to let you caution, next one though, is please, I'm not gonna go into detail because Mayor knows about that, because this committee has not been yet approved by council. I'm not gonna go into detail, so I'm not gonna go too much into technical stuff on that here, okay? So just to let you know that. So I just wanna give you, I mean, most of this information is already in the public. So this is the various phases we went through this project in order for us to complete this project. The project is already completed because on the strike, this has been pushed now in November, we're gonna be pushed till January so to present it to council. But the project is already continued. We're going through some kind of presentation to our senior leadership team before we take it to council now here. So we started in September, start to get the inventory, we start looking at get all the inventory of the community here. Data from everywhere is a big challenge here, and we start developing what is our pathway in January, April, and we start working on the various financial modeling. There was a lot of financial modeling developed in order for us to tell us what is the financial cost, implications, economic, everything here, in order for us to get to the 2050 here. So this is the various phases through the project. And every phases we went through it, we had over 4 public engagement done. So with the public were engaged 4 times. We have a survey done. We have one in person. Mayor knows about, was a big snowstorm. There was 2 done virtually. And in addition to this here, we have developed a working committee. Actually was part of it, which consists of various people from representative from industry. Council was on it, property owner, utilities. We have close to 20 people representatives. So their input help us to provide, to develop this plan here. And what did we decide to call it? We're gonna call it Act SJ. We might change it after. So when we did this, tell us where our greenhouse going. So we need to understand where our greenhouse going. And as you know, the city of St. John, everybody knows that, has a large industry there in the city of St. John. So we need to take into consideration all the aspects of the project. City of St. John does not have control on large industries. They're all regulated by the province and the federal government. And many of this industry was representative as part of our working committee. And all the industry, I spoke to Irving Oil, Irving Oil has a plan in place to be carbon neutral by 2050. So most of the industries, they have a plan to be carbon neutral by 2050. They're already working on this on 2050, and they need to work with us in order for us how to get 2050. As you go, so if with industry 68 tons, without industry 9 tons CO2, which is average for city of St. John. Actually, 9 tons CO2 is below mountain. Actually, if you compare it without including the industry. If you do the calculation here, we have close to, we created 4,800 kiloton of greenhouses, which is equivalent of 64,000 tanker trunk worth of gasoline. Okay, so this gives you some, and this give you where the other greenhouse inventory coming from. I know we have heavy industries and we have food, then transportation is a commercial building, and show you all this number where it's coming from. So challenges. St. John has a lot of challenges. We cannot go and start working on greenhouse gas. We have to look into consideration what are the challenges. There are 3 main challenges. The first challenge is we know that emission come from industry. And St. John does not, we don't have control of this thing, but the good news on that, is most of these industries, they have a plan in place, strategy and action plan to be carbon neutral by 2050. They already have, which is good news for us here. So we need to work with them. The second challenge, which already know here, fossil fuel are the main source of energy in St. John. You know that. At a huge cost to the community, and fuel oil prices are higher in New Brunswick. I'm not trying to do something, that's a fact. Are higher in Brunswick compared to the national average. So we have to try to find a way to how can we replace our fossil fuel. So that's why the renewable energy is there. The third one, the challenge is local inequities. And we need, this is very critical for us. We need to take into consideration that in St. John we have 1/4 of our households, 22% in St. John, far below the poverty line. This is an important fact. So we need to take into, when we have to do equity lenses, when any policy we do, any program we do, we have to take this into consideration, and that's in mind when we develop this pathway. It's very important, because people is gonna decide whether they pay for their heat or they can pay for grocery. And this is very important. You don't know how important it is here for us. And we have to take this into consideration. So this is the three challenges we need to address when we develop our Community Energy Action Plan, or ACT SJ. The next one. So this is show you the chart to get to net zero. So we have the business as usual scenario. If we decide to keep doing that business scenario, so we're gonna move from 4870 to 4920, so we're gonna see an increase. Business as planned. When I say business as planned, meaning there's already policy or plan or already approved. So if you do a business as planned, we're gonna see a dip 200,000, little bit here. So this is the last one, is the scenario race to net zero. Just to show you how this chart going like that. So we see a very deep one here. Next one. So not gonna go into detail. So we have developed 6 strategies. And there's 17 strategy bundled into 6 big moves. We call them the 6 moves: the decarbonization industry, increased use of active and public transportation is very important. Shifting to lower emission vehicle and transportation. The first one, electrification of our building, improving our energy efficiency building, generating of renewable energy, and reducing weight. And each of these strategies, there is a detailed implementation plan for each of these strategies. I cannot share it with you right now. And these strategies, they have the financial cost in it, everything in it. So this is a very ambitious target. I'm serious. It is very ambitious target. Ambitious plan is very ambitious plan here, and this is one of the unique plan we have it in the maritime right now. This ACT SJ, very ambitious. I know people look at it, how the heck we gonna do this? And that's what you see. How the heck we gonna do it? And this is the reality. But this is the reality. Is we need to do all this target here like that. So it's not. This will require a lot of commitment, a lot of policy, a lot of ownerships, a lot of that. And each one has their own strategy implementation plan. Next one. I'll just give you an idea, what are the just to give you something, I'm not gonna go into detail. For example, increasing of active and public transportation. 30% of the trip will be taken by foot, cycle, and public. So we wanna increase it from whatever percent we have to increase. In order to meet the target, we have to increase it to 35%. So this active transportation is a big part here. And shifting to emission-free vehicle. 100% electric buses by 2032. And remaining 2030, 2040. So this is the remaining has to be 2030 to 2040. Renewable energy, combination of wind, solar, geothermal, biomass. Not going into detail, I know, I'm sorry about that. I'm not gonna go into detail. I'm not gonna tell you how many megawatt we need, stuff like that. I cannot go into detail. Electrifying and improving energy efficiency building. We're looking to have by 2030, we're hoping to have 100% of our new construction net zero by 2030. This is all ambitious target. 100% of existing to be 50%. And 100% of buildings switch to heat pump. Anyway, these are real target we're looking at. Reducing water and waste emission, and then the last one is decarbonization industry, working group, advocate, other stuff like that. So this is some of the measure or the action in high level we're thinking about doing in order, and there's some other more here on that here. So I mean, this will give you a a pathway here to net zero St. John. It show you for each of the measure, like we're looking at decarbonization, how much we can reduce it we go in order to get to the net 2050. Same thing for shifting to low emission, increasing active transportation, and generating renewable energy, which is a big one, and reducing waste. It shows you all the pathway going there to 2050. And if you go to the next one, more detail, it shows you each of these measure, how much we can reduce. Each measure has its own KPI. It has own how much green, how much cost, what's the level we need it, when we need to do it, everything. So again, this is a very detailed, ambitious target, ambitious plan on this here. Next one. You know, don't quote me on this number. Don't quote me on that number. And we did the financial model, but everything can change here. We expect to, without including this, we expect over the life cycle of this project, or life cycle to 2050, $2.6 billion investment, which can, $2.6 billion investment and with $4 billion saving here. This is an estimated number based on our financial model, because the energy saving is there, the financial benefit is there here. I mean, 4.8 could be changed. Don't quote me please on that. And the 2.6 billion change, there's a lot of variable here, but just we try to give you the significant amount of benefit we can get by going to net zero on this year. I'm not gonna go into, I mean, there's a lot of different ones, like this could be carbon tax avoided, energy cost saving, operational manual saving, capital expenditure, so show you the number here. Next one. The EC curve, I mean, this is we did here, so for us now, we finished the community, so what we're doing right now on the community energy action plan. I did present this yesterday to council. So we have two projects on the district energy. We have the short-term phase one, and then we have the long-term. So what we're doing at the district energy, we are using the Market Square as a heating, and using the heating and cooling plant, the Market Square, to distribute heat in terms of hot water to the Canadian Aquatic Center, to the Canadian Aquatic Center, to Hilton, and City Hall and other building here. So, the phase one consists of upgrading our chiller at the Market Square, looking at the thermal storage cell. So we have two hot water tanks there, one cold, one hot. One hot, one cold storage tank, thermal storage. We're looking at upgrading the control person, connecting to the Hilton. Thermal connection to the Canadian Aquatic Center. We want to connect the energy shelter at the Market Square to the Canadian Aquatic Center in order for us to transfer energy there. The project has to be completed by 2024, and we receive $1.8 million from the various government level. Next one. So what we did so far on this project, District Energy System, the chiller's already been upgraded, completed, and show you what we did at the Market Square to put it down the Market Square there. So the heating and cooling plant control system need to be upgraded. Connection to the grid already been connected. Now we're working on the last component of this project, which is the thermal connection to Aquatic Center, which will be completed by March 31st, 24. So we pre-order all our mechanical equipment, our heat exchanger, heat pump, all this pump, we pre-order them there right now. We'll hopefully receive it in 2nd February of 2024. We already start on the civil work in order for us to construct a barrier loop on the ground to crossing from the Market Square to the Canadian Aquatic Center to the St. Patrick Pathway. I don't know if you guys understand what I mean there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this has already been completed. The piping, I can see the pipe here. The pipe, they've already been done, completed. So installation of mechanical equipment already been awarded. So work is already underway, and we need to we need to upgrade our system, control system upgrade to make sure the Canada Aquatic Center control system and the Market Square talk to each other in order to exchange heat. So this project we hopefully we can get it done by March 31st, 2024. Next one. So this is the saving that you know here. We have, as the mayor indicated, the project went down below our cost, $2.4 million. We were able to receive $1.7 million. So the cost for us was 25% of the total project. And this is a saving, $186,000. We already have the saving for the chiller upgrade saving. We've seen it now, it's $85,000. And then we expect the Turner Connect will save us another $100,000, which has resulted to 500 tons of CO2, which equivalent removing 110 cars, remove it from the road. So it's a big number. That's a big number here. 3.46 year payback here. And we work on the Canada Agriculture Center to be hopefully to be carbon neutral within 5 years here. So overall, and the next one we're working on the district energy. This is our long-term study here. This is very important for us if we need the 2050 target for net zero here. We need to electrify our thermal energy in order for us to reduce our dependency on fossil fuel. In order for us we have to develop a district energy to provide heat in form of hot water for heating and hot water for all the uptown area of St. John. So we have 3 components: the master planning, which consists of, we want to do a citywide mapping of all city of St. John center area to identify what zone, what area, what building are candidate for district energy system. We want to do some kind of piping diagram, stuff like that, and to develop a class D estimation, and to give us the total load, what we need, the total load to provide this energy, whether we need 100 megawatt, 50 megawatt energy. The next one, we're going to go more into detail. We're going to choose 40, 50 building in St. John, mostly major building, commercial building, when we're going to do more detailed analysis on type of HVAC system, on cost analysis, the revenue we can get, how we're going to pipe it, do we need to change this. So this is more detailed engineering analysis done on the HVAC system there. Then the last one, we determine what the best energy source for us. We're going to compare all the energy source. Then we're going to determine what is the government structure we need to maintain this building, to govern, to manage this building. And we look at the business, the primarily financial analysis of the utility, whether it is technically, financially, and socially viable for us to proceed with this work. So this is a big project here. And I'm done, or one more. This is the next step. After we do the community energy action plan, we didn't take it yet to council also. The 3 things I want to discuss with you here is we're looking at developing detailed financial implementation framework to see how we're going to implement all this at the community for the community energy action plan. So we will be creating a 10-year capital and operating budget for XJ implementation. We want to see where the money is going to come from. Anyway, so this is in the work right now. We're looking at doing a carbon budget. So we want to develop a carbon management system that aligns with the city policy and practices. We need to understand, and this has not been approved, so we will develop a policy to ensure that any land use, any building coming out, anything going on, to see what's the impact on our carbon footprint. Is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative? So because this might impact our footprint in the end. So this is a carbon budget. Third one, which is very important for us, if we don't measure it, we cannot monitor it, whatever you say, it's tracking and monitoring. We need to establish a monitoring, evaluation, and reporting system to track and report on our XG. So we're going to be working, collaborating with the various industry. We're going to be working with commercial to make sure, tell us what you're doing. How are we going to know the saving, how much saving you're doing, how much your greenhouse gases, so we can take this information and we can present it to the public. So the public knows what they're doing is having an impact on their greenhouse gas footprint here. So this would be good. We'll be working on this type of track and monitoring system here. So for me, and lastly, definitely, this is important. This is a lot of work here, so definitely we're hoping in the future that we can establish some kind of working group or steering committee to manage the community energy plan. And hopefully this committee could be directly reported to council directly. We don't know yet here, so we'll be working on something like that. It's important for us to do that. So I am done on this here. The last one, I don't know, I'm not trying to convert anybody here, so I want to mention John Henry Newman. This is always, changes is very important. We need to adapt. So if we take the time to read it, I don't know if it's a good one or not, I'm not sure.
I hope that everybody learned some stuff today. Does anybody have any questions for
Speak
us
fast.
here?
Laura, yeah. I had a question, but when I look at the graphs, when it says decarbonize industry and if the slice is like this high, can you just break that down a little bit into maybe bite-sized chunks that we might think it could actually happen?
You mean decarbonizing or the?
Decarbonizing industry, like when the graph that showed.
What we did on the decarbonizing is because we don't have control.
Exactly.
We don't know their plan, but we are working with them, so we have to do this.
Right.
We don't have enough information, but we cannot ignore it because we have to talk about it. But the good thing about it, like there was a lot of positive coming from the industry, and they are working really hard to move into this direction. And we work with them, we talk to them, and they were part of our working group, and they want to move into this direction. They are very much moving into this direction here. But we didn't have enough information.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean this is all regulated by the federal provincial government.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
No, Ann, please.
Okay, so speaking of decarbonizing industry, for example, there is still the question in the air of whether the Irving Oil Refinery will be sold or not. So if it goes under new ownership, then what is the city's plan to continue to work with industry to help it decarbonize?
I mean, the city, all what we do here, again, for us is we cannot regulate. We don't have regulation over the any industry here. We can work with them. We collaborate with them maybe to get some funding or to get some project, whatever we need. So we can still keep working with them all the time on that. Whether it's a new owner or older, we can still work with them on that. But city does not have any sort of any regulation or legislation power to do anything. But we know they're there, and we will continue working with them, and they're very open for us to work with them here, very much. So whether it's a new owner or what, we can keep working with them on that. I don't know if I did ask a question.
Yes, thank you. It was a very inspirational presentation.
Oh, thank you.
And a good presentation. I think that many people, especially those who would have seen it for the first time, and there are many in the city who didn't see it. Actually, it's a big audience tonight here for presentations that's gone on, so it might be good to give a presentation in Uptown St. John or somewhere there if we could find a location where more of the community could actually see it. I know the first meeting was in a snowstorm, and I asked for a cancellation of the meeting that day because everyone in St. John, everyone else canceled their meetings, but you held yours. The second one was on the telephone. There were 5 participants out of the city, just people, five people in the second one. And, you know, so this is probably, I didn't get to the snowy night one, but this is probably the biggest one yet. And I don't know how many people, other than the ones who are required to be here tonight and civic ones, etc., how many people are actually here, but how many are here? Maybe a dozen or 15 or so, if you exclude those people like yourself. But anyway, it needs a public presentation, and that has not happened yet. And we have to get a good, convenient location, you know, where people live. And do it on a night that's not a blazing snowstorm. So anyway, but...
We can't control that part though, Samir. We won't put that one on you.
Okay, well, this is fine. I just want to give advice because I want this to be successful. But there are a couple of other things that I want to ask about. One's a pretty serious question, but the next one involves people in the community too. And are you thinking about setting up a community advisory committee to oversee the implementation of this thing and to liaise with it as it goes along? I know some of the other industries in the city, some of the big industries, the ones that I presumably were the ones you were mentioning there, they have them. In fact, Ann and I here who just spoke, we're both on the one for the LNG terminal. So it's not a precedent or anything. So is the city thinking about establishing a citizen advisory committee on the implementation of this and you know, future changes in it as necessary when it goes forward?
No, I mean this is one of the recommendations. I mean, the council already in 2020 or 2021, the council has acknowledged the fact that we need some kind of a working committee, whatever you call it, I don't know what, or committee, or any committee in order for it to manage this plan here, definitely. So, and council was aware about, we don't know the type yet, I have no idea yet.
No, sure.
I don't know too much about it.
Well,
It's up to council in the end.
it needs to happen before things go too far or too much further. I mean, a lot of people in the community, I think if we put them all together, the people who have come to the meetings like the ones tonight that you mentioned, I mean, I don't know how many people it is. It might only be 50 or 75 people, certainly less than 100. But anyway, so it needs a wider amount of people to see it, and then some way to involve the citizens of the community in the implementation of it.
No, definitely, no, 100%. This plan is not my plan, it's a community plan.
Okay.
It's a community plan.
The second thing I want to ask you about, I want to ask you a specific question here. Now, can someone put the last slide that was, maybe not the last one, but the one with the picture looking down at the outdoor area around Market Square that was up there? Can someone put that up on the projector? That one, that's the one, yes. Yeah, but anyway, what we're looking at here is probably everybody in the room knows. We're looking down at the foot of King Street at the outdoor area around Market Square.
Boyless Circle is what it was traditionally called.
The what?
The circle here with the tree? It's called
Yeah, we're
Boyless
looking
Circle.
at specifically that in the bottom center or right center of the picture there. And that circle there, this whole area, as everybody knows, is being re-engineered for, as you mentioned, seabed rise and some kinds of development and other things under the name Fundy Key or Fundy K. Some people will still call it Market Square or whatever. But anyway, this area where this circle is and below it there, apparently, is going to be usable in the wintertime for some of a kind of an outdoor skating rink there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true.
I was told recently, and I want you to confirm whether it's true or whether it's untrue tonight, but I was told that there's going to be some kind of artificial refrigeration for that outdoors, and it's pretty hard outdoors to heat the outdoors or to cool it, either one. And I want to know if that's true or how far that's gone along, if it is true. If you could explain that to us and what the cost of that, just in a very rough of terms might be. Or
I wish I can give you information, but I'm not involved in this project. I'm not involved in this project, so I don't know about the design. I don't know about the cost in it. So.
Well, it would seem that in
But I know there's ice, not ice plant. There's an ice rink there, whatever you call it. But I'm not familiar with the design and the cost of it. I'm not familiar.
Well, thank you. Maybe I could ask, one of the people on council or the mayor tonight for that information in a moment. But I just want to ask you, it seems that something like that, in view of where we're trying to save energy and CO2 production and that kind of thing, it seems, on the surface, that's if it's true, and I don't know that it is. But if what I'm saying is, and if we find out some other information, it may be very contrary to this plan, and I'm surprised that you weren't told about the people who aren't cooperating with that branch of the city or who's ever doing this, that you wouldn't know, because it's. But anyway, I'll ask you: is there anyone else in the room who can answer the questions I'm asking?
Well, what I'll say about that, really just quickly, is that it's an ice surface, so I don't know all the mechanics about it, but I can get you a little bit of information. But we're balancing everything that we do going forward, and this whole energy and reducing greenhouse gas is important to this council. We have 5 priorities, and one of them is green. And so we've put time, we're putting effort, we're putting money into greening St. John. The green brand is worth about $30 million annually to Vancouver. So it's very important to us for saving the people, planet, it's the old people, planet, profit. It's the planet we have to look after. So we're trying to balance this with some quality of life issues as well. And when people come to St. John, you're trying to attract a population. We want to grow. Growing will impact the greenhouse gases that we have as well. everything, so we're always balancing things. So that's a quality of life issue. If you need more information on it, more numbers, I can get that for you, but I don't have them off the top of my head tonight though, but happy to do that.
And I
So-
hate to be pointed about this, but I'm going to be very pointed about this. This is a very inaccessible spot for many people within the city. Public transit, although we love the efforts that are happening, aren't really a dependable system. And what this plan does have is an ice rink that's powered by a generator that also uses refrigerants to keep it cold. Now, I used to work in GHG inventories and used to help organizations of all sectors and sizes do their inventories, including the Port of St. John. And I do know that diesel and refrigerants are two of the largest contributors to greenhouse gases. So at what point in the decision of becoming a green council and implementing green policies did having a generator that's diesel powered and powering refrigerants processing through an area very close to the water, how did that get through?
I think this is mechanically done. There's no generator. There's no diesel generator. And most of the refrigerant used there in this building, they're in accordance with the UN protocol. So it's not like, we're not using like, I don't know if I'm not familiar with it, but the refrigerant is not, it's according with the UN protocol. It's nothing to do with the Montreal protocol, which has been banned. This is, we are looking at refrigeration, which is environmentally friendly and is in accordance with.
There is no refrigerants that are actually technically environmentally friendly. That's a very divisive thing. I think that it would be very important for the city to release more information on that, because I know that there has been a bit of dissent around that. And I think for environmentalists in the city that aren't going to be copped around, new slogans, that is a very important issue moving forward, that we have to incorporate environmentally friendly programming, decision-making at every step of the way, even when it comes down to quality of life. Yes?
I'm going to make some divisive statements here. And I don't care what you think. This is my town. I've been here for 62 years, and I'm not leaving. And I see that, and I see all these lights on. You got lights on trees, you got lights on the buildings, and you're telling me I can't drive my little Toyota. And you're telling me that you're going to be net zero carbon. How much carbon do you produce in a day just breathing in and out? 2 pounds, okay? So I'm not buying into this, and I'm not buying into your electric buses. You get electric buses now, it looks like a friggin' dinky toy. Where does all this stuff come from? It comes from Africa. Oh, we're so concerned about people in Africa that we got little kids in the Congo. Now you can shake your head, you can get all depressed and all this stuff, but you watch how they dig for cobalt in the Congo.
Sir?
And just 1 minute, I'm not done. I'll let you know when I'm done. I pay taxes here. Now, just hold on. You may not like what I have to say, but I'm going to say it. Also, where you put that ice rink, have you heard of fog? Come on, you put the one down in the south end, you had to turn it off because you didn't have enough refrigerating capacity. Good point. There is no refrigerant that doesn't cause pollution. I cause pollution just talking to you. Okay? So I get the points of, well, we want to be green, we want to save energy and all this. I want my taxes to go down. I don't want to have to put a friggin' sticker on my garbage bag. I want to know where the friggin' plastic's going. You guys tell me that I can't have plastic straws. Thank goodness somebody said I can. Okay, go ahead.
I understand a lot of what you're saying, and there are some valid concerns, especially when we talk about, the electric vehicle situation and extractive policies, 100%. But we also have to think about things, and when we're talking with the city, we have to think about operational control. So to reel this back in, the city only has so much jurisdiction and operational control over what they can actually implement and do. And when it comes to waste, like that's the Fundy Waste Commission, not necessarily the city. What needs to happen is we need to start advocating at a city level to have better waste commissions like they do in Fredericton and abroad when it comes to recycling, refuse, and all of the electrical waste. And as we were talking about the expansion of recycling NB programs to accommodate our community. but we don't want to conflate what we're here for. There are a lot of issues that are polarizing when it comes to climate action in general, but what we are here for is the idea of coming together collaboratively as a community to understand what Samir is doing and to also revitalize, support, and collaborate on those efforts. We know that reduction of energy consumption helps us all. We know that Birch Hill Wind Farm for long-term plans is going to help St. John and help us with something called environmental and energy sovereignty. So there's like monopolizations of systems. Again, these are things that the city cannot control. What we're here for.
Just 1 second.
No, I know, but I let you
Solar array
speak.
out there that's full of freaking snow right now.
Yeah,
Do you have
because
anybody gonna go out and remove the snow? Are you gonna track that solar array across as the sun comes up? Are you gonna do that? No, you're not gonna
We
do that
do,
because
sir.
you're
It's called
thinking,
solar
you're
passivity.
thinking solely on what you've been fed in university. I'm thinking critically,
I
and I
understand
want my grandkids to live in a city that tells me that I can drive more than 15 minutes. And if you read Agenda
Sir?
21, Agenda 21's 351 pages.
okay,
They
I'm
go
going to
into
give
all
you
your
one
stuff.
warning and then ask you to leave.
Okay, I'll
because
stop.
we're trying to have a collaborative atmosphere here, and you're kind of making it so other people can't contribute. Okay, so if we could just all take a big deep breath together and kind of center ourselves on why we're here, which is to further the efforts as a city to create a better prosperity for our city, to ensure that we're advocating on behalf of our city, because when you're talking about city policies like the taxes, like start advocating to Higgs. Why are you yelling at Samir? He doesn't have anything to do with the taxes, okay? The tax system is messed up in this province. There are lots of things that need to be done, but coming here and creating a hostile atmosphere here when we're all trying to educate each other is not the way to proceed. So, we're going to again take one deep breath, and we're gonna move together in a respectful and collaborative atmosphere. Does that sound good?
Councilwoman.
Yes. Margot, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Samir, for your presentation. It's very inspiring and really impressive. And I have so many questions, but I will ask you just a couple of quantitative ones that are easy to answer, and then some of the more difficult ones. I was just wondering if you could tell me how many full-time staff you have that are working on implementing these plans at the City of St. John.
I mean, this is,
Surely it's not just you.
Hopefully it's not just you.
no, I mean, this is always a teamwork.
It's a
Like
teamwork, yes, but do you have a second person that's working full-time on applying for grants and so on?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean,
You can.
no,
Bring
yes
your
and no.
mic.
I mean, we work like city staff. Like, be honest, when you ask city staff to work, city staff they come and help. It's amazing. Like I'm proud to be part of the City St. John organization. The city staff they're very helpful. They come, they work, they genuinely want to help, really. And we yes. Do I need staff? Oh mine. I need staff, of course. You know, definitely. You know what I mean? Definitely. And that's why I'm saying here is we need to establish a working group committee to do this one. There's no way we can do this.
Sure.
We have in order for us to have. We need to have new staff doing this here. Definitely, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
My second quantitative question is just about the buses. Do you have, do you have
Six.
full-size electric buses?
We have one 44-foot electric bus
Okay.
and 6 20 feet, 20.
Right, on demand.
On demand,
Yeah,
on
great.
demand bus.
That's excellent. You talked about carbon budget affecting planning. Now, right now, do you look at your planning proposals through with a climate lens on it?
That's a good question. This is excellent. Like currently, what we do is this council has adopted an asset management policy. One of the principles, the objective of the asset management policy is for any upgrade or new asset or new infrastructure, we do what you call it a climate analysis. For example, we put a building, we have to do a climate mitigation, as well we have to do a climate adaptation analysis in order to determine what are the impact on our greenhouse gases, as well what is the impact on our adaptation plan in case we have, in case of weather events such as flooding and stuff. So we have it in our asset management policy here. But here we want to expand a little bit on the carbon budget to ensure, this is also still council policy, is to ensure that if we have land use or we have industry coming here, we need to understand what's the impact on the climate impact on our greenhouse gas adaptation, environment, everything here. So we're gonna take this into consideration.
Great.
Sorry, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long conversation. I don't want to dominate things, but I do want to ask you finally, how do you see working with the Climate Hub, the group here?
Ashley was very good. I mean, I'm happy, you know what I mean? We want people such Ashley group to move us, to help us in this direction and to be enthusiastic, collaborative. We need to be collaborative. I mean, we need to work together. This is our community. We may disagree on a pathway, but we know the goal. And when we disagree, we have to do it in a constructive way here. So that's the most important because we're all in the same boat.
Yes.
Thank you.
So first, thank you, Samir. That's really good presentation, and I appreciate that all the things you talked about, like the city can control, and we're trying to do our best to do these. I have two questions. The first question was, I think the lady was asking already, but I think I want to dive into a bit more. Just like, do you have a detailed plan to like recruiting new staff for the plan? Because it sounds like you did a really great job, but when I was talking to the consultant for the advisory board,
You are part of our.
yes, they mentioned that one of the study they've done in the past is they originally was 5 staff to do the whole plan. I think it was Toronto,
Yeah.
and now it's 150 people department that organize all the things. And I was wonder if we also have a plan to like collaborate with other department in the city as a plan and submit to council to get approved, because I think that's really important. That you can done such a great job, but it really has to be a team member, like building inspector, engineers, heritage officer, all need to be like contribute and understand what's the goal and how can they be part of it, and how those bylaw also need to be adapted to our plan. And that's something I was wondering, do you have that? We'll go into the.
This is when we
Yeah.
start the implementation plan, when we go to more deep. These are good questions. Like the implementation plan, each strategy has an implementation plan. It tells you what is your resources, what the financial, how we're gonna do it. This detail, I don't have to share time, but this has a lot of detailed information to help us how we're gonna move forward with this here. Like, I mean, we're talking, this is a big ambitious strategy. We're talking a lot of changes here in the future. I mean, I'm not gonna go into detail, like you mentioned bylaw, you mentioned the city have more authority, legislation power. There are gonna be significant changes. But I mean, this is a plan. Definitely, definitely, this will be part of our scope of work going forward.
That's really good to hear. And then my second question is like, does the plan incorporate with like some community, like for example incentive? Because like you mentioned about property, and you mentioned about there's not much control for the community because the city parts, but I think there's like carrots and stick. There has to be balance. But does this plan is including that idea?
It will include some of it.
That's
Everything council approved, everything. It will, in order to us to move forward.
okay. Well, that's my question. Thank you.
That's good question. Yeah, good question.
Hi, thank you for a really great presentation. It's nice to see a comprehensive plan in the city. I have kind of 2 related questions. I'm a bus rider, so I love that we have a bus system in town, and I've ridden on the Flex, and there's a lot of perks, I think, with the flexibility of the system. In addition to standing next to the bus, like the idling, like I know there's a lot of emissions because you breathe those emissions in. So it's nice that we're switching our fuel sources. And so one of my questions that's related to that is, have you factored in the benefits to human health monetarily in these savings that you assessed? And then my second question is, if we're interested in increasing the riderships of the bus system, which I think is a really big component of the plan, I'm curious why fares are going up, which is in contrast to the audit recommendations.
And one of the implementation plan unit, we talk about how can we increase the ridership in it. So we have addressed the couple of issues you mentioned, we address in there in the plan. Even the one, the cost ridership unit here, you know, definitely we need to encourage people to take the buses, because we believe the buses is one of the way for us as part of, to reduce greenhouse gases, to reduce traffic, everything like that. This is very important. This is one of the area we have addresses as part of the implementation plan.
I'm curious how raising fares helps increase ridership, which is against the audit recommendation. St. John already gets a higher proportion of their revenue for bus systems from fares compared to other comparable cities.
And cost sharing with some of our maybe little well-off neighbors.
Yes, John's on the Funding Regional Services Commission, and they are looking at to expand transit regionally.
I think a cost-sharing analysis to that would be a great start for a conversation, right?
The car is king in St. John, in this whole region. I'm from Halifax, the car is king here.
Well, it's not even just that. It's that we have to also think about the realities of rural living and how hard it is for people to get around in general. So when we talk about public transit, I think that we're pigeonholing ourselves as well into an idea that a bus system is the way. Like, I come from the GTA. Like, have we ever thought about things like utilizing some of the rail, like rehabilitating some like rail travel in between the high points in the community where the rail already exists, and also like within connecting various different regions within the province.
And I love that idea, but I think all those rails are privately owned now, right? I don't know if most of them they have CN on them or the line. So I mean, that's something that there always apparently was a train that went to Sussex and came into the city. So you know, the things that we had years ago that the car drove us to, because when the car came out, it drove the suburbs. You never had suburbs till you had the freedom of driving a car. So all of those things, and so I am a big supporter of density. So we have over 300 square kilometers. It'd be nice to get people to move in, you know, and use the bus system so that that bus system can grow.
I like the shift of conversation to density because we talk a lot about the framing of social justice lenses in St. John. Now, I know from the Human Development Council that like 85% of the people within the city rent. So there's also been a conflation and some problems and issues raised with the waste system and renters as well. How are we as a city going to mitigate these types of problems when moving into the future and trying to think of inclusive solutions, but also trying to promote privately owned dense residential?
Do we want to promote privately owned dense residential?
Well, no, we would love. Well, that's going to shift our conversation then to
I like that. I gotta get out of here. Sure.
public housing and stuff like that.
You know, like we often put our own middle class values on everyone, and maybe that's not what everyone wants. You know, to own a building or own in a building or whatever. But I mean, people talk about renting like it's a bad thing. It's not
Well, when you
necessarily
see
a bad
the
thing.
highest rental rate rise in the country in St. John and the living wage doesn't match that, I think that's a very important conversation.
It is an important conversation, and I'll say this to that. The federal government will tell you that housing is a right, but the real estate investment trusts say housing's a commodity. So how do you
Oh, you're talking GDP now.
So
That's
how
where
do
we're
you
going.
reckon those two? How do you reckon those two things in one's in the same, you know, in the same sentence? So, and that's what we're seeing in St. John, because I live in the South End, and I've lived there. I've owned my house 40 years almost, and that I have seen places turn over, owned by people from west of here, who have bought, you know, these multiplexes up, multi-units up.
I lived in them.
$680 for a month's rent. Now, like they're doubled or whatever.
They come with 6 free mice though.
No, you get roommates, absolutely. You get roommates anyway. So yeah, there's, you know, so that's a whole struggle for me of how those two things fit together: housing as a commodity and housing as a right. So I mean, the conversation is huge, and we could just go. There's a lot of things.
You're right, the conversation is huge, which leads me to I'm sorry for leading the conversation here. My last question pointed directly at the three of you. You see that there is a lot of engagement here and a thirst for direct channels to actually do and have conversations with the city. Now, there has been opportunities, but some of these opportunities are held at places like the police station, which I have raised a number of times is not a socially equitable place to hold any type of stakeholder engagement. Can we, as a city, commit, especially as a council, to being more aware that the city does and needs more stakeholder engagement, and to create equitable opportunities and avenues for people like the people in this room, but also the people that weren't privileged enough to be in this room to actually voice and have a say within it. Because it tends to be those most marginalized voices never actually get heard and are the most affected by these types of policies and decisions. So what route is the council going to take from now moving forward that the city could look forward to, especially when discussing things like creating a council of citizens to help support and steward the plans and help support within city engagement, borough and community engagement? What is the city going to do on the opposite end of that spectrum to listen and heed what we're saying?
Well, I guess we would look for some guidance from you as well as to what the socially equitable spaces would be. Now, I love it up at the police station because I can walk there. I had to drive here tonight.
Because you've never been arrested.
No, I've never been arrested, that is true. But I mean, you know, there's lots of places in the uptown area. But listen, and we would be open to wherever. You know, I mean, you need a car to come out here.
You're
So,
right.
You know, that's the other
And
side of
this
that
is one
coin.
of the hardest places, but UNB Sustainability has been an amazing partner with the community and has allowed us to have these spaces for free. The city doesn't have a lot of spaces, like all the community center spaces you have to rent. Everything is privately owned. It's very commodified, as you've said to yourself within the city. Like, is there spaces that, like, what the city needs to do an action, and the city needs to provide avenues, and the city needs to amplify that they are opening these avenues as well?
Actually, let me be honest with you. I think, you know, that's been a challenge for me in wondering how to even engage as a counselor with the most vulnerable. How do you do that? Well, lately I've been going to the food bank because, like, let's be honest, if you're struggling to get food on your table, you don't have time for this.
Mhm.
You don't have time to even sit down and do a survey. You don't have time. You're too busy trying to figure out how to get bread on your table.
Yep.
So how do you get those inputs? I don't think they have time for an hour.
No,
They
you're
don't have
absolutely
time.
right.
So I try to personally engage with people, and I have done it at the food bank twice in 6 months. But it's like, but how do you do that? You don't want to be invading on people's privacy too.
Mhm.
But I thought, you know, if anybody has anything they want to share with me, then I'm around. But, you know, but it's hard because they really don't have time for this. So how do you do it? That's hard.
Right.
We have some online engagement that we're doing through Shaper City. That can be
That's
challenging.
inaccessible.
Yeah, is it accessible for people? Are people used to the technology? You're right, it's actually hard. Like, I've wanted to have town halls and I have to rent pretty much any space around. So how do you do that? That's hard. So yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, can we do something like this in City Hall? Well, we can talk to staff about that. That's a central location that I would hope people would feel comfortable to go into. They're certainly welcome. Welcome to council meetings, right? So welcome to go into One Stop to inquire customer service. So maybe at City Hall, I don't know. I mean, but I'm happy.
I think
to-
this is a great start for a blighted conversation though about like how to gain that equitable voice and make those good decisions. Before I trump anything though, any other questions? Okay.
Is that right?
Behind you first, John. Samir.
Samir, I have you.
And thank you again, Donna, for coming. Appreciate your attendance.
I noticed in your presentation, you only briefly offered one reason why we should stop burning fossil fuels, and that was sea level rise. And I was wondering.
No, I didn't.
No, that's the only thing I noticed. You've talked a lot about reducing emissions and, you know, carbon neutral and net zero.
Yeah.
But the only thing I noticed that you gave as a reason was sea level rise. And I was just wondering, could you tell me how much is the sea level rose in the St. John area in the last, say, 100 years?
I mean, I go by whatever scientific tell me, like we expected within 100 years span, the sea level rise will rise by 1.9 meter. That's as per the 100 event, 0.9. The reason I mention this, I always mention seawater rise because remember, city of St. John as a community is vulnerable because we are surrounded by Bay of Fundy on one hand, and then we're surrounded by the Kennebec Valley, sorry about that. So the city of St. John, because of this here, we are susceptible to flooding, storm surge, everything like that. That's why I mentioned it. Because this is two of the three main weather event which will impact our city community in terms of flooding, stuff like that. That's why I mentioned. But when I talk about fossil fuel, when we're looking about fossil fuel, we would like to replace it by renewable energy sources, such maybe I'm not saying could be biomass, could be solar, could be windmill power, could be geothermal. So that's what I mentioned as a replacement for fossil fuel.
Right. You never once mentioned the benefits of fossil fuels. They pulled the world out of poverty. You never gave it any.
So we're not really talking about that. We're talking about the future ambitions of rain.
No, but before you get rid of them.
I don't get rid of anything. You know, I mean, we have, what I'm trying here, we need to reduce dependency on fossil fuel. I mean, we still need fossil fuel, or we need still natural gas as a transition. We still need a transition fuel in order for us to move to a low carbon economy. Like imagine, because remember, every dollar we spend here on fossil fuel, natural gas, 80 or 85% leak our economy. You follow what I'm saying? So every dollar, so what about we develop an environment or economy when every dollar we spend stay in St. John?
Isn't that such a good idea? A global economy
That's but I'm not, I mean, be honest with you, I don't have any answer for this. I don't have all the answer for this question here. This is not my community, but it's your community in the end. This is all you plan, it's yours.
And you had sorry, John, do you want to go?
Yeah, just to say something positive, and I think there are a lot of positive things, but there's other things that we have to be more careful about in moving ahead in the future. And one has been voiced about a number of other issues than this tonight, is more public and better public consultation and information flows and public oversight in the implementation of things. Whether it's housing in the community or buses or whatever the issue is, but it just needs lots of it, and you can't get too much of it. But to give the city, and particularly St. John Energy, a huge pat on the back.
Yeah.
This virtual wind farm down at Lawrenceville. Now, everyone that has gone down in number 1 highway is right in their face. And in spite of what all these naysayers are saying, even in very light winds, the windmills are still turning. And you can, anyone who hasn't seen it and wants to go see it up more close, the roadways go right in around the windmills, and if you get down there, down the road to Colson Cove and turn off there, you can drive in right around where they are and see them up really close. And I've talked to people in the community of Lawrenceville. We've worked with them in the past in groups that I've been involved with, so I know who to talk to and that sort of thing. And there was no problem whatsoever. But when they were being built, there was a year that broke off construction because of the COVID, but still they were brought in, very, very promptly. There's some people in the province talking about these modular reactors that don't even exist, and everyone knows that it will take probably 15 years to get even a prototype, an experimental one working, and don't know how. But these were brought in about 3.5 years with a year taken off because of COVID when construction ceased. And now they're generating two things. They're generating absolutely clean electricity, which is inflation-proof, because unlike oil, gas, uranium, coal, all these rotten fuels that others in the province are advocating continuing, and I know it will take a time to phase them out. Everyone agrees to that. But we must not build any more of them. And there's enough wind power in this province, particularly in the coastal areas, plus pumped hydro storage, where although St. John Energy had to buy a battery because they didn't have any reservoirs, but NB Power, the Telegraph Journal, some big industries were bad-mouthing this project all the way. I don't know how many, but there were at least maybe a dozen editorials over 3 or 4 years in the Telegraph Journal running down the fact that they should build this and promoting and just continuing to buy power from NB Power, who have not built one renewable energy plant themselves in
Just
40
with
years.
The way they made St. John Energy pay, what, extra $4 million to run their own transmission line.
That's right. They denied them use of their the NB Power and provincial power lines coming into the city. St. John Energy persisted and continued, and even spent the money to build their own line, and are still coming in cheaper and better than they would from NB Power. So let's shove these ideas of unrenewable energy, which include all these sources that I've just mentioned, and I just hope that there's room down there, or there's room somewhere in the city for more windmills. And thank you.
That whole green leasing thing you were talking about, all those dots on that map, those were opportunities for more green energy projects? Is that what that was?
Which one?
The green zoning.
The green zoning would allow company to come in and install a large like solar project, solar farm, or large wind field. So that's the zone we encourage developers to do that.
And these will be privately run though?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the whole thing, I'm just want to end up summary here, is again and again, we need, in order for us to move forward, we need to work in a collaborative approach. I don't know how much I can emphasize on that. Some of these projects I work on, it took a lot of hard for us to do it because people don't want to cooperate. Some people don't want to cooperate. If we are really seriously addressing climate change, which we think we all seriously, we need to understand, and we need to work collaboratively, positively, everything together. We need to put our agenda on the side and work for the best, for the good of the community. That's what I'm trying to say.
You have one question to leave us off with?
Yes, I was just curious if in the coping with sea level rise, for adapting to sea level rise, the seawall, there's plans to raise the seawall 1.5 meters to upgrade.
It's already done.
It's already done, okay. And to raise Courtney Bay Causeway, that's a future plan.
That's a future plan.
I'm wondering if there's been any plans made to let the water in some places, which is what they're doing in the Netherlands.
Wait, I don't understand.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, in the Netherlands, there's a plan. I mean, you can only raise things up
Oh,
so
okay,
high.
yeah.
And so the Netherlands is making plans in some places to let the water in.
And be honest with you, and you may not, we may not, like as the sea level rise, we may not have chance, like on St. John on the waterfront, we may not have chance but to let the water rise and go in there.
So I'm just wondering if the city is thinking in terms of planning to, well, we could maybe let the water in here while we kept it out there.
I'm not sure about any plan going on right now, but I can check, but I'm not sure on that. Maybe future plan could be done like that. I'm not saying no, could be, you know what I mean? I mean, we know the climate is changing rapidly, and adaptation is changing as we go. Innovation, everything is changing as we go. Like I'm explaining to you something today, maybe in the next couple of years, things could change rapidly also because of policy, because of innovation, because of rapid change on climate. So everything is changing. So that's why we have, you know, everything is evolving very rapidly here. So I mean, this is a good point. I mean, again, this is very good. Anyway, anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. Thanks everyone. Thank you.